Good morning, everybody. Welcome to All Things Considered, episode 5. I'm actually live this morning. Shocker. Happy Halloween and all that jazz. It's a little late because obviously I just got out of the dang shower, but I wanted to, try to do this one live for once because it's always pre-recorded and I don't get to interact with the people in the comments in the chat. But I see that I may have done this a little bit last minute for a live. So anyway, as usual, support US Arc. I am a bronze member. Boom. So if you didn't make it because you assumed I was not doing this live, and you're catching the replay, cool, awesome, thank you. If you're watching this at any point, remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. All that stuff. Yeah, go ahead, check it out. Yeah, I was kind of hoping some people would show up, but again, like I said, it's last minute. Enjoying my morning coffee out of my High Desert Pythons mug. But yeah, I still don't really know what the heck I actually want to do with the show as far as content goes. Well, with that being said, I do see a lot of things going on social media and things like that, and there's some things I did want to actually touch on because not that it bothers me or anything like that. I just want to put a positive spin on things and not focus on the negativity and the drama and all that jazz. But one of the big things I've noticed across multiple platforms is that we have a lot of experts, if you will. So you'll go on Facebook or Reddit, you'll post something, and you'll get a slew of comments, good or bad. And take all that with a grain of salt. There aren't many of us that are actually what I would consider experts in, anything. There's people that have done it for a long time. There's people that, are knowledgeable, but, to be an expert is sort of, you're at the top, you're at the top of your game. If you're keeping something for 2-3 years, reading for 2-3 years, you're probably not an expert. So that's why, I don't come off or try to, tell you guys that I know everything. I don't. I'm not going to be the one to comment on something unless it's, particularly egregious or, and if I do, it's going to be in a manner where, it's, education. Like if somebody, for whatever reason, still has like heat rocks or things like that. When it comes to, heating, at least with ball pythons, things like that, you need a thermostat, that sort of thing. That stuff is now common, like general knowledge, as far as, husbandry goes. But I see a lot of things on like Reddit and Facebook where it's like, the snake has stuck shed, take it to the vet, something like that. It's like, it's a ridiculous. You're not a vet. There are certain times when you do, you have to take an animal to the vet. There's a lot of things that you can address here. Like I said, I'm not an expert by any means, but things like a prolapse, I've addressed that here. Things like sexing your snake, I've addressed that here. I mean, you don't have to go to a vet. There's plenty of people more knowledgeable than me that have posted content regarding those things. So if you're comfortable, you are able to do certain things yourself. But with that being said, there are also times where you do need to go to a vet, things like that. But I do see a lot of people in comments on, various social media where, they're, I don't know. I want to try to say this as positively as possible, but they're offering advice that might not be the best. If you're constantly going to the vet every time you have a hiccup with an animal, you're going to spend a lot of money when there are certain things that can be addressed with proper husbandry and things like that. But as I said before, I don't want to, come off as an expert. It's just my experience that there's certain things that, yes, you should, or others that, you can handle on your own if you are experienced, or find somebody in the community that has the wherewithal to be able to assist you in those situations. I didn't really want to touch on the vet thing because that's touchy, but there it is. But a lot of the other stuff is like you'll post something and, oh, it was sold to me as this, and then all the comments say 20 different other genes. Now that may be true. You may have gotten, screwed because you picked up, from a rescue or something like that. Good morning, Eric. I'm actually doing this live, so thanks for tuning in. But yeah, I see a lot of people either asking questions about, oh, what is this snake? I picked it up from somebody. They said it was this, but the person that picked it up thinks it's XYZ. Generally for the most part, if it came from a breeder, we're pretty decent at identifying what went into that animal. So I do see a lot of people questioning that have been doing this as long as me, maybe a little bit longer, maybe not as long. And there are certain genes like blade, some other things like that do get passed on, pied with leopard. So I mean, there it's not really out of the question to be like, hey, is there blade in my clown? Because there may be. So, but it's with other things, like you'll see some graniting, things like that. Pastels have that. Just because you got some dots doesn't mean you have a graniting gene. So I think we're trying to do a lot of identification of more animals without that stuff actually being there. Good morning, Bill. Thanks for tuning in. And I don't want to fall victim to that. And I do see a lot of people on social media, trying to get more. Morning, Jessica. Thanks for tuning in. I'm actually live. So normally I do this pre-recorded, but I decided I do it live. But yeah, I want to, make sure that we as a community sort of moderate ourselves when we're sort of getting to this point of, I bought this snake. I think it has XYZ. Well, it doesn't until you prove it out. So I have some things where somebody has suggested that a gene may be in there or morph may be in there. So I note that, but if I haven't produced that specific animal, that they're referencing in, one of my animals, then I'm not going to say it's there. I mean, I may have Mojave hiding in my champagne stuff. I don't know. That did come from Billy, so I was sort of, maybe he might be right. So I might retry that pairing to see if that comes out. But I do think there's a lot of, we're trying to get more for what we got when we got in, some lower end snakes or got some cheap deals, things like that. But we're all, experts in the comments, experts in the chats, things like that. So I try not to do that. And I was watching Proper Royals last night with Chris and Steven. And, Chris brings up a lot of good points that, like the ball python market, these reptile podcasts, if you will, it's oversaturated. So I'm trying to do something different where I'm not proclaiming to be an expert about anything. I'm still learning. I do have, 2 podcasts or YouTube lives, if you will. But I never say I'm an expert. I'm never trying to tell you people to do what I'm doing. I tell you what's working for me, what my experiences are, and it's sort of my journey. And I do think we get a lot of people that get really arrogant, really, the ego gets big after a couple seasons. But there's a lot of stuff that, even I haven't experienced in just keeping animals for, 20 years plus, actually. So, this year I did unfortunately have some issues. So, I've experienced, a snake having a prolapse, incubation issues, losing clutches, things like that. So, I mean, it was a rough year, but, that's par for the course. That happens over time. You're not going to get lucky and things like that. So this channel is to, share my experiences, to show everybody, here's where I started, here's where I'm going. It's sort of a step-by-step, sort of, how I'm progressing. I'm not, going to say I'm going to hit banger clutches. I hope to in the future, but, even then I'm doing this to make cool animals. At the end of the day, if I work the projects that I want to work and I hit the things I want to hit, I'll be happy. For me, and this dovetails into the whole market thing. Everybody's saying like the sky is falling and all that jazz. It's a market. The overall market is down in a lot of things. A lot of things are either really expensive or really because there's no inventory, and a lot of things are getting cheap when there's a lot of inventory. And that happens with ball pythons right now. There's so many. It's not funny. And I think a lot of us made the same stuff when we got in. If we got in during the the COVID times. So for me, I don't want to necessarily follow that path. where I'm doing everything that the people at the higher end of the industry are doing. Uh, I want to work, different projects. Yes, I'll have some of the same recessives, but it's not going to be, I'm making Batmans now. If I'm making Batmans now, I am, behind. If I'm, so the only way I would get into, some of these more popular projects is if I can just get in, not on the ground floor, right? So if I can buy a Batman with a couple more codons, or another recessive, or things like that, to sort of get myself ahead. So because if I'm getting in now trying to make these things, I'm going to be 3 years behind. Morning, Matt. So yeah, I heard a lot of people grumbling that we can't sell stuff. Well, if we're all making the same things, obviously it's going to be difficult to sell things. Nice. All right, so Bill got a pastel yellow belly hep hide. Yeah, that's good that it's already got a recessive and two codons. So you want to have things that work in every project. And I'm not giving that as my advice. That's sort of what I've taken from others in the community. You want to be working certain things that are popular, but you want to try to. My opinion is you want to take that in a different direction, right? So if everybody's making Batmans, you want to make something slightly different, something to make yourself stand out. Good morning, Tammy. Thanks for tuning in. I have to be mindful of my time because I do have to go to work. So I probably have another 15 or so minutes, but thanks to the 5 people that are in here watching. So, we do have a lot of people that are freaking out. And I see a lot of snakes on Morph Market, ball pythons in particular. That seems to be, that is the most popular thing. But, somebody will have a proven breeder butter listed for $300 and it's been up there forever. Well, I hate to tell you, either A, that gene is no longer as popular, or B, your price is too high. So we get all upset when we have to sell things for less than what we anticipated or envisioned when we started, or when we were breeding or growing up that snake. So a lot of these animals right now, based on when I purchased them, I probably am taking a little bit of an overall loss on them. But at the end of the day, with my lower price, I'm still hopefully going to sell that animal. And the hope is that as we're or if we're here in the market, and so I sell lower here, and then it's going up, and then prices are going to start to go up, or somebody's going to make something where that gene is going to become more popular or whatever, or sell at a higher value. Then you'll recoup that eventually, that loss later, or at least you should, given my basic rudimentary understanding of any market. So right now it may stink, but hopefully in a couple of years or months, or whenever, prices will start to go back up, the overall economy will get better, and you're going to be able to offset that at a later date. It's not, you don't want to be, the sky is falling, prices stink, and get out. You can just weather the storm. That's my opinion, and it happens in every market. Like I said earlier, I'm not necessarily an expert in either of those things. I wouldn't even say I'm an expert in what my day job is, but I'm experienced and confident in that much more so than I am in ball pythons, which is why I do that for a living and not this. Morning, Ken. Thanks for tuning in. Go check Ken out tonight, 9:30. I think he's doing a Halloween show. So if you want to be on there, dress up and all that fun stuff. I might go as Al Borland. I was going to do that this morning, but I figured, I'll just wear the Husbandry Pro shirt and, do the normal reptile adjacent thing live. But anyway, I don't think the sky is falling. I just think the market is meh right now, and it'll recover. If you're making the lower end stuff, the pet level stuff, you might struggle, or you might not get the price that you were envisioning. But at the same time, who is anybody going out and buying many other things right now? Like I want a Blackstone griddle, but everything else has gone up in price, so maybe I don't necessarily need that. And so some of these things, as far as pets go, it's extra. If I can't afford the, let's say, $100 for this, leopard pastel, and all the other things I would need to get in, I'm probably not going to buy that if I'm, frugal and being smart about it. So I think we're seeing a lot of that right now as far as the pet level stuff. But if you're making stuff at the higher end, yeah, you might not get the price that you got in to the project, or say if you bought a double visual, that might have gone down in time as more inventory hits the market. So yeah, I just say, I'm going to weather the storm. I do have a smaller collection, things like that. But I'm not necessarily doing this to make money. So that's not my primary objective here. It's to have healthy animals, to produce healthy animals, and to make cool snakes. If this wasn't an industry, I'd probably just do it because it's fun, or it can be, and it's interesting to me. So for me, I'm just gonna weather the storm. I have room to keep these animals if they don't move, and if I do feel the need to offload an animal, there's various places that I can go where I know the animal will have a good home, whether it's to a relative or a friend of a friend that wants a pet or wants to get in. I don't mind taking a loss as long as the animals are well cared for and things like that. So I'm just hoping there is a light at the end of the tunnel as far as the market goes on some of these things. But with plenty of people getting into it, obviously inventory is gone through the roof. But I sort of have strayed from my initial social media rant, if you will. But yeah, for me, it's take it slow. Yeah, Ken, you had quite a few clutches. You had it, and it hit a couple visuals in your first year, so that's pretty cool. Just keep on growing on that foundation that you're starting here. And this thing's having some dead air when I need some coffee. But yeah, back to my original point of the whole social media thing. Yeah, if you're gonna comment, be nice. There's already enough drama around the industry in general. We don't need any more in our in the hobby itself. And another thing I've been saying, and I'm guilty of this, so it's a little bit ironic. But if you have a brand page, please keep it at least reptile adjacent in your public facing things. I've seen a lot of, like, if I go on stories, I'm going to see a bunch of reels and things that have nothing to do with reptiles. It could be anything from politics to whatever, some viral reel or TikTok is. And, for me, that it's sort of like, well, I want to see your animals. I don't want to see, I don't want to see, some, what's going on in the news. I have 2 degrees in political science and public administration. So I get all the political stuff in my life in general. I don't need to see it, in my escape from that stuff going, looking at these, reptile social media things. So yeah, Bill. It's fun, exciting. That first clutch is, either way, it's going to be amazing. Hopefully, the odds are with you and, everything goes well. But yeah, it's exciting each and every time. Yeah, I mean, some people are just out there either, I think their ego won't let them not comment or something like that. But just be positive. Um, and if you're going to comment because somebody is doing something against the grain from the overall trend of where the hobby is going, then do it in a positive manner. Don't be a dick. Yeah, you don't have to like everybody, or just don't be a dick. That's pretty good. Yeah, Ken. I felt that it's like, well, they're here. I produce them. There's something sort of special. And if you have the room and they further your projects, then that's great. And they should. Bob Boo says, you're your own best customer, right? So if you're not producing things that you want to keep, then um, maybe reevaluate your project. And that's where I'm at. Everybody, I get mixed advice, and that happens all the time in this hobby. Uh, so you'll have people that are like, oh, you need to make the pet stuff, right? You need to, you need to have different levels of stuff that you're making. I mean, that may be true, but it's the intention. So, my first year I had a pairing that sort of just random. It happened. Somebody missexed an animal that I had purchased way back when. So best $20 I ever spent wound up being a female het pied. And then this year I had a lot more pairings. And the stuff that went was my lower end pet level stuff. And I a few issues with both clutches, which things I think it may have ultimately been an incubation issue, since I did notice my one snake does have a smaller eye. But those were, so I was intentionally pairing for like I was trying to make bypasses, so spark yellow bellies, or not bypasses, pumas, there we go. I get confused on all the different names for those, and blue-eyed Lucy's. And it's like, okay, I'd already made these pairings when I decided to sort of change and focus on I'm going to be pairing the stuff that I want to make. So if it doesn't further what I have in the racks, what I have growing up, my future projects, I'm not necessarily going to just be pairing stuff to pair. I don't care if I have 100 snakes for sale or 5. I'd rather have 5 really nice snakes than 100 that are on the lower end. So everything for me moving forward, if I hit single genes, things like that, they're probably going to be hets or pause hets, or het pause hets, things like that. And so it's going to be a byproduct of the projects that I'm working on, right? So it's sort of taking everybody's opinion about which tiers you need to work on and all that jazz, and just I'm doing the one. And if I hit on what I want to hit, then it's staying here for the next few years until I have those things working in my projects, where I can move on from other animals, things like that. And if I miss, well, then that's going to be the stuff that's going to be available. So if I try to make one of the things I'm pairing this year is an ultramel het pied proven breeder to a visual pied. So everything's going to be at least double het. Now the females I may keep. The males are definitely getting sold. But even some of the pied heads that I could hit, if I hit a male pied head ultramel, I don't necessarily need. I may need them as a backup. But if I hit multiple, that's things that are going to be moving. And pieds are still, as far as the pet market goes, I mean, people like pieds. It's there's something about that snake. Yeah, I mean, for me, I had that worry when I shipped out my first 2. It was like, I raised these up. The one I had been through like war with. It was the run of the litter. It was an assist feeder. It had a prolapse. It was just super small. But yeah, once he got to his new home, I was worried, but it's somebody else is taking care of it now. They know all the issues. I was 100% honest with the person that got it from me. It went as a pet. So, but yeah, there's always that sense of worry and things like that. And I think I'll get better as I ship more out, and more of these snakes leave as I grow. Morning, how's it going? Oh, Ken, thanks for stopping by. Duck Donuts. Get the maple bacon one. That one is disgustingly good. All right. Yeah. The overall thing is, don't be a dick on social media, and yeah, we're not all experts here. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to learn. that's how we grow. If I came off as arrogant and egotistical right away with not really a brand or a name or anything like that, and I just had some nice animals, um, yeah, I mean that's a turnoff for me. I like the people that are humble, that are willing to learn. I mean, there's people that are, even in any job, in any, hobby. There's people that have been here for a while. There's new people, but there's always people that have an ego and are sort of like, how do I say this nicely, stuck in their ways. Um, so I want to try to avoid that, and I wish we could all grow in that aspect in this hobby, because we do need positive change, right? We see bad news articles, we see legislation, and if we're all not working to change for the positive, then we're going to have issues. And we're seeing that with people either getting in way over their heads and releasing animals, or getting animals that they are not prepared to care for. And on the breeder side, I want to do my research for the most part. When I sell an animal to somebody, or rehome one to somebody, and make sure that animal is not going to end up on another table or Craigslist in a week. And I want to make sure this person can care for that animal, because I'm not in this to just flip a snake for a quick buck. And there's people like that. I've seen animals posted that don't look the best, or at least I wouldn't have taken that specific picture. I saw one, it was a highway, and it looked like they took the picture right when the snake came out of the egg. And I'm hoping that's the case, and it's just a bad picture, and it hasn't been updated, because it looked like it was about to shed and it was a little skinny. But yeah, you want to put your best foot forward. Take good pictures, and have healthy animals. I wanted to try to always keep this show rather positive, but I feel like it is kind of like a newsy thing, where I can touch on certain things that I observe, and I'm going to try to do the show every Tuesday, because it's a slot where I don't think anybody else is, and you have a whole week of morning content for you. So hopefully some nice things happen in the hobby, and I have some like really cool stuff to talk about. And I don't want to be necessarily a Debbie Downer. And it's really difficult to not have dead air, which is why I feel like I'm just constantly talking. But rather that than have me sit here, thinking about what to say next. I came in with sort of a plan, and for what I wanted to talk about, and touched on some other things that were sort of adjacent to it. But with that being said, I am getting close to the point where I actually have to get ready to go to work. So go ahead, check out Ken's Halloween show tonight. There's no proper royals. If you want something reptile adjacent that's sort of funny, you can check out I forget the name of it, but it's got Chris Eaton, Luke from Lizard thing, and Brian from Samson's. So I mean that's funny. It's a little you have three unique personalities there. So check that out later. I will be on Ken's RWO show on Thursday as usual. Morning, Chris. I'm about to head off because I got to go to work, and I'm actually doing this live for once. And then on Saturday, I believe I'm going to be doing a panel show. Hopefully, it's better than last week where I did it last minute. I'm pretty bad at getting things out there when I don't have a guest in advance, so that I can get some people on here, so it's not just me talking. But with that being said, everybody have a nice day at work. Happy Halloween. If you are taking your kids out trick-or-treating, please dress up like an idiot to embarrass them, and be safe. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you next time.